drums began before dawn. They echoed through the thick forest surrounding Ijebu Ode, low and steady like a heartbeat. In the half-light, warriors gathered in silence, their bodies marked with ash, their eyes fixed on something deeper than fear. War was coming. It had been coming for a long time. The elders had spoken of the strangers, the British, who came first with trade, then with demands. They wanted open roads into the Yoruba interior, access to markets, control over movement. But the Ijebu were not a people who yielded easily. They controlled the trade routes from the coast. They understood their value. And they chose resistance, so when word arrived that a British force was advancing toward Imagbon, the council did not panic. They prepared the land as a weapon. Imagbon was not chosen by chance. The land there was alive, thick forests tangled with vines, narrow footpaths twisting like snakes, and rivers that spread into swamps during the rains. To outsiders, it was confusion. To the Ijebu, it was protection. Baligan Apina, one of the war leaders, stood before his men and raised his hand. "Do not fight them where they are strong," he said. "Let the land fight for you." And so they moved. Small groups slipped into the forest long before the British arrived. Canoes were hidden along narrow riverbanks. Mud paths were memorized. Escape routes were planned when the British column began its march. It entered not just a battlefield, but a trap. The first clashes, the British soldiers moved in formation, their boots heavy against the damp earth. They carried rifles, wore uniforms that marked their discipline, and advanced with confidence. At first, the forest was quiet, too quiet. Then, a shot rang out. One soldier fell, another, then silence again. The Ijebu did not stay to fight. They melted back into the trees, leaving confusion behind. Hours passed like this. Every step forward was contested. Every turn of the path held danger. At the rivers, the British slowed even more. The water was not friendly. It was thick, deceptive, stretching into marshland that swallowed boots and dragged at movement. But the Ijebu moved across it with ease. They knew where the ground held firm. They knew where the hidden crossings lay. From across the water, arrows and gunfire came, then vanished. The British were not just fighting men, they were fighting the land itself, the illusion of control. For a moment, it seemed the strategy was working. The British advance slowed. Their formation stretched thin. Communication became difficult. Supplies lagged behind. Officers shouted orders into a forest that did not answer back. Among the Ijebu ranks, hope grew. "They cannot see us," one young warrior whispered. "They cannot win here." But war is not decided by hope. The turning point at Imagbon. When the British reached Imagbon, they changed their approach. They brought out a weapon the Ijebu had not truly encountered before, the Maxim gun. It did not fire like the rifles. It did not pause. It roared. When the first burst shattered the air, it was like thunder tearing through the forest. Trees splintered. Leaves fell in waves. The ground itself seemed to recoil. Ijebu warriors who had prepared for ambush and retreat found themselves facing something relentless. Some tried to charge. They did not get far. The narrow paths that once gave them control now trapped them. The same rivers that slowed the British limited escape routes. The forest, once a shield, could not stop the storm of bullets. Still, they fought, they regrouped, attacked from different angles, tried to circle the British positions. But every attempt met the same wall of fire. Discipline met determination, technology met tradition, and the balance broke. The final stand. By midday, the battle had turned. The British advanced with purpose now, pushing through the forest, clearing resistance with overwhelming force. The Ijebu fighters, though brave and skilled, were losing ground. Baligan Apina watched as his men fell, not because they were weak, but because the war had changed. He raised his voice one last time. "Fall back. Life to fight again." But even retreat was difficult. The land that once gave them advantage now confined them under heavy fire. By the time the sun began to fall, the resistance had collapsed. Imagbon was lost. Aftermath. Silence over the rivers. When the guns finally stopped, the forest returned to silence. The rivers flowed as they always had, quiet, steady, unchanged. But the world around them had shifted. The Ijebu Expedition of 1892 ended with British victory. The kingdom was forced to open its trade routes. Control slipped away, not in a single moment, but in the echo of gunfire that could not be answered. Why they fell? The Ijebu did not lose because they lacked strategy. They used the rivers to slow and divide the enemy. the forest to hide and strike, their knowledge of terrain to control movement. For a time, it worked, but three forces sealed their fate. 1. Superior weaponry. The Maxim gun changed everything. It erased the advantage of ambush and turned defensive terrain into exposed ground. 2. Sustained military pressure. The British came prepared for a full campaign, not a skirmish. They adapted quickly and pushed relentlessly. 3. Limits of traditional warfare. Even the most intelligent use of terrain could not overcome the gap in firepower, the memory that remains. Yet the story of Imagbon is not one of failure alone, it is a story of resistance, of a people who stood their ground, who turned rivers into barriers and forests into shields, who faced an empire with courage and strategy. For a brief moment in 1892, the land itself rose with them. And though the battle was lost, the memory of how they fought, smart, fierce, and unyielding, still flows like those same rivers, carrying their story forward through time.